You know, when it comes to web app vulnerability scanning, there are so many myths, so many misconceptions. I'm going to debunk one of them right here, right now for you. The biggest misconception which we're going to talk about today, the biggest myth which we're going to talk about today, comes from the fact that people don't quite understand that there are two types of vulnerability scanning you can do. Two types. They're often both referred to as vulnerability scans, but they do very different things, right? The first type that you might come across is something called static scanning, right? Or SAST. Now, SAST is a type of vulnerability scanning which actually works with your code base. It integrates with your Git repository and it reads your code line by line. Okay? The second type of scanning, which is also very necessary but completely different, is called dynamic scanning, or DAST, right? Now what DAST does is it has nothing to do with your code base. It looks at your application after it has been built, after it has been compiled. And a DAST scanner, like our CyberChief tool, will actually hook onto your application, access your application through a browser like an attacker would, right? And it will do various attacks. It'll do various compliance checks on your application to make sure you have none of those OWASP top 10 or SAN CWE 25 vulnerabilities. Now, a SAST scanner, right, doesn't do any of those things. A SAST scanner actually reads your code line by line, checks it against a database of known vulnerable code, and then tells you, look, this is what you need to fix. I can see why it's very easy to get caught up and misunderstand both these types of technologies. The obvious question and the most common one we get is, well, which one do I need? Do I need SAST or do I need DAST? And it's a bit like bread and butter, right? You can do without the other, but if you're going to have one, you're better off having both. Because, as I said before, they both do very different things. Now, consider this. If you're lugging a huge cargo load from the port to a warehouse, you're not going to use a car for that, right? You're going to use a big truck. Now, similarly, when testing for vulnerabilities, you need to do two things. You need to make sure every line in your code base is secure, and you use a SAST scanner for that. And secondly, you need to make sure that your application and your APIs have no vulnerabilities after they're being compiled. And for that, you would use a DAST scanner. You getting where I'm coming from? Both things are very necessary, but they both do very different things. If you're still not sure about what does what, have a look at the link down below in the comments, or reach out to my team and we'll be happy to explain it to you. I hope that helps.